Phyllis here of Cloth Paper Treasures, ready to make a junk journal featuring vintage genteel ladies and their steamer trunks and luggage. With just 6 print-off sheets, you can make the basis of this particular junk journal. Notice the glimmering sheen on each page. I have a special way of treating coffee-dyed paper that stay with me till the end, and I'll reveal to you just how I achieve that. Here is each glimmery page featuring an upscale woman of vintage past and her luggage, designer as it may be at the time. All right then, what do you think about this? They're pretty fancy. So what I need to do is flip you through the finished journal so you can see the outcome right now. Then we'll set about making it. So here's what I chose for the cover. Put a nice title on there, don't you think? Open it up and we have a nice colorful envelope that lives in that pocket, because this is a pocket page journal, don't you know? I've put ruffles on some of the pages. We've got rose embossed envelopes. We've treated some of the fussy cutouts as pockets. We have a matching note card to go with the rose embossed envelope. Here's the centerfold, housing its own precious pinkish envelope. Turn the page and one of the steamer trunks serves as a pocket for postcards. We've got more paper ruffle, and we've got a vintage embossed rose, little tiny envelope, and its matching notepad and fancy paper on which to write. On the last page, you see more glimmering cardstock, and here's the back page, the back cover rather, and on the spine I did find just the right washi tape. The closure is pretty fancy too. There are simpler closures than this, but we'll talk about that as we get to it. Let's begin. All right, as you know, I decided this would be the cover page. It has the perfect blank spot for the title, The Journey Well Traveled. How appropriate. Next, I decided which pages will pair up to make the pocket pages. First, though, we need an inside cover for the outside cover. And then here again are the paired up pages. How will I get pockets out of those? You'll soon see. Back to the cover, folding the inside cover towards the inside and naturally the outside cover from the outside, because they're going to sandwich in between a piece of Peltex or not, or perhaps chipboard. Your choice. I love the Peltex. I love it for the soft yet firm feel. So here it is, said Peltex, cut a 1/4 inch smaller on each side than the cover is. I'm just going to glue it on with some fabric fix. Peltex is a thick interfacing product, by the way. But wait, first, cut it down the middle and allow a little bit of a gap so that it can close. Then sandwich in the top cover, and I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and zigzag stitch 3 wide, 3 length all the way around. What a sweet result. Very good looking. It's soft to the touch, yet firm. It has a leathery feel, especially when you've achieved that coffee-dyed glimmer effect that I'm working up to revealing to you. All right, cover aside we're going to fix up the inner pages. So I want these two golden pages together and these two bluish purple pages together, and I'm just going to double check their placement and their fit in the book. It's all good. So clipping together one pair, I will sew across straight stitch just the long edges, not the sides. That's what creates the pockets. I sewed down the middle. Wish I hadn't, because I went a little crooked, so you would not have to. Here is the exquisite ephemera, including some tickets that will make real authentic looking, some fussy cut trunks and suitcases. Yeah, and here they are cut out. Here's the selection, just a few of many in the print-off printables kit. Now, as for the tickets, in order to make them look real authentic looking, I need perforation marks, which I'll make on my unthreaded sewing machine such that they look like this now. Then I'll simply take an ordinary hole punch and nip, yes, just lightly nip at the base of each vertical line, all the way around. If you like this content so far, be sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. Hit that notification bell so that you can get videos like this every time. Now, doesn't that look like some tickets that you could fold and tear off? Yes, it does. Putting them aside for now, I'm taking 2 pieces of fancy printer paper, not cardstock, printer paper, and I was going to leave them loose, but I think I'll sew around them too, the same zigzag, 3 wide, 3 deep, and then adorn the sides with this paper ruffle that is also treated, also gilded in my special way. So there it is, zigzagged. And now I'm going to need to cut 4 pieces from the ruffle. And I've decided to double-sided tape them down, figuring that because they're rather thick, that a bead of glue and glue stick won't do it. So we'll just work with the double-sided tape. Times 4. All right, I have to unroll that since it's kind of circular. Get off my tape. Slap it down if it will behave properly. Set up for the second one. Peel that ornery tape covering off, and then try to set the ruffle flush as possible to the edge of the paper. I really don't want it to stick over too far. It's going to stick out nicely anyway from the book, as you'll see soon. Now, it's important to me that that ruffle all goes in the same direction. Now I've got it on all sides, each edge. And I did this on purpose because I decided that the selection of cardstock pages needed to be broken up with a little more neutrality. And this was the way to do it. And see how the edges stick out very nicely? The ruffle edges, I love it. Okay, I'm satisfied with this setup. Now back to the tickets. Wherever shall I put them? Shall I put them in the pocket pages, or do I need to make a pocket out of the fussy cutouts and put them in there? That seems like a real plausible idea. In order to do that, I should probably cut up the tickets a bit so that they fit And I'm just kind of thinking out loud right now how to do this. Or place it on this page, but I wanted this page to be free for writing upon for the most part. Alright, in the end I did make a pocket out of the fussy cut. Found a piece of fabric, stuck the tickets in there. I think it's adorable. Here's where the postcards ended up, in their own little trunk pocket. Adorable. What else? What else? It's time to stuff those pockets though. And here's what I've got, and all these things are pretty. They don't seem substantial enough. So I'm just experimenting around. See if I like. You know how you just keep fussing with stuff until it's right? Now here's something that I might cut down and make into a notepad later on. That might stuff into one of those pockets really well. Yeah, I think I'm starting to get a glimmer of an idea what to do. Meanwhile, it is time to bind this book. So having clipped the pages together carefully, because they're not all the same size, I am ready to take the awl. I find this to be the most courageous part of making journals. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I'm not satisfied with the way the holes turn out on the outside. Am I sticking the awl in too far? Is this just the fallout from making holes in your hard work? On the inside, the holes look okay to me. But on the outside, they seem just a little ragged. If you have any comments or suggestions to lend me, put them down below for me to find. All right, last hole. Yeah, I'm pretty much a perfectionist. I will just find some nice washi tape to put over those holes as the very last step to making this journal. All right, a binding we go with the wax thread. I think a lot of us are familiar with this routine. In from the center, out and go in one direction or the other, back to the inside, all the way down to the far hole. And if it gets stuck on the corners every single time, you just deal with it. And now back through the center to the inside. Make each string so that it's on either side of the thread. Tie into a knot, a double knot if you please. A double square knot is even better. There, it's all together. Inescapable. Seems pretty tidy to me. Now, I have challenged myself with putting on these pretty little rose gold D-rings. You would not have to go to the lengths that you're going to watch me do right now. You can make a simple ribbon tie on and untie it, or you can thread said ribbon through the wax string binding we just did. There's any number of closures. I'm going to the trouble of sewing this on and honoring the zigzag stitch at the same time with gold thread. You don't think I like gold and silver a little bit, do you? And while I'm doing this, I want you to think about something. This is obviously a junk journal featuring genteel ladies, vintage, and their travels, you know, with their designer luggage of the time. So you could utilize this journal in the same way, you know, document your worldly travels, or you could think about this metaphorically, symbolically, philosophically, as, you know, journaling your life journey, your life path. I mean, we're all kind of sitting around, not going all the places that we want to here in early 2021. Confined as we may be, we can only travel in our hearts and minds and souls. So think about doing that in a travel journal. There, I got the closure all set, at least on one side. I've got the hardware on. Now all I have to do is sew on a length of ribbon on the other side to make contact with that hardware. Now, I'm making envelopes at last to stuff into the pocket journal. That's what's going to feed the pockets adequately, I feel like. And having done so, let's now flip through the journal, once again understanding what it took to fill this journal beautifully. Opening it, we find the crazy envelope, which has no vintage appeal, but it is pretty, and in it goes. Turning the page, we admire the ruffle and the postcard, and another postcard and the vintage rose embossed envelope with its matching notepad and fancy writing paper. Oh yeah, that's what it took to stuff that page adequately. Turn to the centerfold, and the big pink envelope, just as sweet and pretty as you please, belongs right there. We admire the postcards once again on the paper ruffle, and look at the sweetest little, again, rose embossed envelope with its matching notepad and fancy writing paper. Yeah, can you tell that I've arrived at success with this junk journal? I think it is very beautiful. Now, look at the pretty washi tape I ended up with. You can't tell that I struggled with 3 holes, can you? No. So let's do a little closure as our final act of a very satisfactory experience. By the way, you can learn how to make fancy coffee dyed paper, fancy ruffle paper, and envelopes at links in the description below. As well, you can purchase physical sets of fancy paper, ruffles, and fancy envelopes in my Etsy shop, also at a specific link in the description below. Finally, this journal itself is for sale in my Etsy shop. So far, there is only this one unique junk journal, yet there may be more of them by the time you see this. So hop on down to the link in the description below.